Good morning to one and all. My name is J. Chinaranga. Presently, I am pursuing my graduation in BTech first year of the department ECE, and the part of the CAA to video representation. The topic which is given to me is a program on function without arguments and with the return type. And so, let's get on to the topic: function without arguments and with the return type. In a function in a C program, a function without arguments and with a return type is defined to carry out a specific task and return a value, which means we are not going to give any type of input to the program, but it gives a return type, a return value. The return value may be any type, as per our convenience. We can specify the topic, we can specify the output type, type of the output. Output means return value. This kind of function doesn't take any input parameters, but this is designed to return a result, enabling modifiable, reusable and organized code. As I said earlier, this kind of function doesn't take any type of input parameter such as any type of input from the user, but it returns a value which is very useful which will be very useful to save the time for the programmers in order to finish their coding. And next, it now let us take an introduction to the functions in C. Functions are code blocks for the specific task, which are very useful, and this may be save the time for the programmers, and they promote a modular and organized code. We will be focusing on the functions without arguments, as my topic was that, so we will be focused on functions without arguments. Next, a function without arguments is designed to perform a task without requiring any input values. So as I said earlier, this type of functions does not take any type of input values from the user, but returns a value. It will return a specific value such as an integer or a string based on its internal logic. As we assign the type of data, as we assign that data type, the return value may be integer or float or string or etc, and so on, any type of values according to our convenience. An example could be function that simply returns a function an example could be a function that simply returns a fixed number. Or for our convenience, let's take an example number 42. Now demonstrating how to create and utilize functions effectively without external inputs. Now, function without arguments and with a return type. Now we are going to understand the meaning and use it in the program. A function without arguments does not accept any type of input values, but returns a value of a specific type. As I said earlier, it does not take any type of input values, but gives a return value, and this return value also will be our convenience, such as integer or a string or etc. Any type of, because based on our uh, convenience. For example, this can be a function that calculates a fixed number like 42 and returns that value. As I said in earlier example, number is taken as a 42 and returns only that value. Such functions are useful for scenarios where a constant output is needed for specific calculations are performed without any user input. Uh, these type of return values will be very these type of return values are very useful, such that if we perform any type of task, there will be only single input. And let us see an example. Let us see a concept program. Define a function define a function with no parameters. So you will be typing the function as hashtag include sto.io, and below the line you will be going to mention void main. Instead of void main, we are going to type void int, or void function that we wanted, what type of functions that we wanted. We are going to type, and we are going to call that function in order to perform that task and return a value from the function. And example program for the code structure, as I said earlier, we are going to see that hashtag include io string and void. Instead of typing void main, we are going to type void greet, which means if we type the function greet, then there will be acting a function which will be defined as an argument. The function declaration type is return underscore type function name and hysteresis. Main function int main, and function definition, return type, function underscore name. This slide presents us a complete C program demonstrating a function that does not take any type of arguments but returns an integer value. The program includes a function declaration for get a random number which returns a fixed number. In the main function, this function is called and this result is displayed. This example highlights how simple functions operate within a C program, showing modular coding practices and function usage. And step by step explanation, we are going to understand the function process. This section breaks down the each and every step involved in creating a function that does not take any type of arguments but returns a value. The first step is declaring the function. If we declare the function, then we will be going to get the then we will be going to mention, or we will be going to call the function in order to operate the values according to the input values, and this will be followed by calling it in the main function, and finally defining the behavior and the return value. In the process, we're not going to give which will be not going to use any type of arguments, and we will be not going to give the inputs to the inputs from the user. So therefore we will be going to define a function where we will be going to operate and function on the variables, and the output will be a random number which will be fixed, as I said in the earlier example, or a random number 42, and the program calls the get random number function. That's it. And key points on the conclusion: functions without arguments and with a return type are crucial in C, which will because they will be saving the time for the programmers, which will be if we if so for suppose if we want to add any type of two types of integer values, we will be going to type a hashtag include std data void main and so on. So there will be types of 7 lines, but this type of functions will be very very useful to save the time for the programmers, and they will be allow the returning computed values or constants, thus simplifying the code and enhancing modularity. And last conclusion: understanding functions in fundamental in C, they enable the creation of more complex operations that can return various types of values or perform multiple tasks effectively. And that's all. Thank you for giving me